Russia, Russia, Russia. Aren't we getting a little tired of hearing about that? Well, believe it or not, it now involves the Madeleine McCann case. Apparently, the authorities who are looking at this Christian Bruckner, who I talked about in my last video, believe that Mr. B, Christian B as they call him, had some Russian friends. Maybe while he was in Portugal, around the time that Madeleine disappeared. So, they're looking at some Russian people, trying to identify who they might be and what they might know about the abduction and disappearance of Madeleine McCann. So, what I want to do is comment basically on the comments that some of you made and what I've seen on the internet. So many people seem to think that Madeleine's parents, Kate and Jerry, are somehow involved. I really don't see that. And I think this Christian B is an interesting candidate. Now, as I mentioned at the end of the last video I did on Madeleine, Christian B's attorneys are pushing for the authorities to release some kind of evidence, some incriminating facts, because everything that we've heard right now is circumstantial. So we'll see where that goes. But what I want to do is just kind of talk about the difference in the way maybe people that would be involved in something with a child, and compare that to the way people who aren't involved with something that might happen to their child. So let's take the McCanns and the JonBenet Ramsey parents. The McCanns, from everything that I've seen, all the footage that I've seen, they seem to act appropriately to me. They report to the police right away once they discover that Madeleine's missing. They cooperate. They didn't destroy the scene, contaminate the scene. They continually look for their daughter right to this day. They're still searching for their daughter. Just don't see that that's inappropriate. Now, I realize the Portuguese authorities kind of targeted them right away, tuned in on them, kind of like they needed to solve the case quickly to put people at ease. But I think the McCanns have held up appropriately. Haven't seen anything that convinces me that they're involved. Now, let's take the JonBenet Ramsey case. Right from the get-go, the 911 call is a little weird. Patsy, when she makes the call, after discovering this ransom note, she doesn't even mention that there's a kidnapping for a while, or even a ransom note. She talks about a note. It's just an unusual 911 call when you've just discovered a ransom note for your daughter, making demands about money, and we're going to kill your daughter if you don't pay the ransom. So right from the beginning, Patsy's not acting appropriately. And then, by the time the police get there, they've got other people in the house. They're letting neighbors come, friends come into the house. So they're maybe not intentionally destroying and contaminating the scene. They're not cooperating with the police. In fact, from what I understand, John Ramsey was calling his pilot to arrange for them to fly out and head to Michigan in his private plane. So I guess they're thinking as soon as the cops get out of the house, we're out of here. That's not normal. when your daughter's missing. And then later on, maybe 5 or 6 hours after the cops have arrived, one of the law enforcement authorities suggests that maybe they do a more thorough search of the house. And what happens? John goes directly to the basement and into this little room, and oh my God, there's JonBenet. Then he carries her upstairs, contaminates not only her clothing, but her, and brings her up to the main level. That was not normal, in my opinion. So the Ramseys did not cooperate, didn't want to be interviewed by the police, lawyered up right away, and that just didn't seem right. So, big difference in the way the two families, parents of these children handled situations. So the comments where people are thinking the McCanns are involved, I'm not leaning that way. I mean, I can always be wrong, but that's kind of the way I see it right now. And I'm just kind of comparing that to the Ramseys. In fact, Kate McCann is still purchasing Christmas presents and apparently birthday presents for Madeleine, assuming that she's still alive and that they're going to find her someday. They're still searching for her. They hired help. They received some outside help from people, and they gladly accepted that. They wanted to find out what happened and where their daughter was, and they still have that mindset. Where the Ramseys, it seemed like it was all about them. I mean, anytime they were on film, it was about them. Not, we got to find who killed our daughter. I don't ever remember them saying anything like that. And I think the most telling thing about the Ramseys comes from John Ramsey in one of the interviews. And I'm just going to paraphrase what he said and what I thought about it when I heard it. He makes a statement to somebody that's interviewing him that he knows he'll have to live the rest of his life, and we'll never know what happened to his daughter. And he'll never know what happened to his daughter. Well, I think that's pretty telling, because he's telling us that we'll never know what happened to JonBenet Ramsey. Well, to me, I think he's telling us that he does know what happened. How else would he know that we're not going to find out? My opinion. So we'll leave that at that. So, where do we want to go with the McCann case? Back to Mr. Bruckner, Christian Bruckner, a known sex offender, has an interest in children, apparently has molested children in the past, or at least one child in the past, has molested or raped a 70-some-year-old woman in the same area in Portugal as Madeleine came up missing from. I'm going to lean toward Dr. Todd Grande. Dr. Grande has a number of YouTube videos talking about different high-profile cases. And one of them, several of them actually, around Madeleine McCann. And in one of them he talks about 3 possible theories. First theory is that maybe she woke up and wandered out of the apartment and something strange happened. Somebody picked her up or whatever. Possibility. The second theory is one that some of the comments talk about, is that somehow the parents are involved. And I've explained why I'm not following that theory. But some people believe that they were involved in her death somehow, maybe accidentally or intentionally, or that they were involved in her disappearance or whatever. But like I've explained, I'm not buying that one. And the third theory is that there's some type of intruder that came in and took Madeleine. And that could be like an organized pedophile cult, and we know they exist. But they would have had to have identified their target, Madeleine, would have had to do some surveillance and know when she's going to be there alone, or watched closely enough to see that the parents were gone, and then come in and abduct her. We don't have any evidence of anybody surveilling the place or any rumors of that. But we do have some rumors of some unusual characters in the area leading up to the day or two before Madeleine disappeared. And some of these people are identified as unusual, shaky-looking people, suspicious-looking people. Well, Christian Bruckner would certainly fit that category. Now, how he would know that she would be in there, I don't know. But I will say this, he has a history of burglaries as well as his sex crimes, and he has some drug issues. But his criminal associates had a nickname for him, apparently. They called him the Climber, because he was able to climb up and get into windows and things that others couldn't. So, who knows what he might have done to maybe target Madeleine. So I think that, again, makes him a pretty good candidate. Again, this is all circumstance. But the fact that the authorities are tuned into him right now, I'm leaning in that direction. I obviously don't know exactly what happened, but that's my gut feeling. So, I guess the authorities, whether it's the German or the British authorities or the Portuguese authorities, need to get moving and make some decisions here, and either charge him or move on and keep searching. But I don't think it's the McCanns. I don't think it's the parents. That's my gut feeling. That's what you asked for, and that's how I feel. So I guess it takes us back to where we were and where the authorities are right now with Russia, Russia, Russia.